Plat Chat Overwatch, episode 226. It's a special edition Plat Chat Overwatch. I got 3 lovely guests alongside me here, and we're doing a Collegiate episode because we got, of course, the playoffs coming up this upcoming weekend. So, first of all, nice to have you guys on. How's it going, everybody?
Pretty good. I would say.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. We'll get the energy going.
We're gonna get to, once we get into the draft. I feel like it's gonna. It's gonna
it's gonna get pretty.
That's really where it's gonna be.
Yeah. We got a collegiate draft coming up later this episode. I think it's pressure because every time I speak to Kenobi, I just feel like I have to simulate like the energy that Rich Rad gives off because it's just like, I was watching this past weekend and it's just unbelievable. Like the guy just brings the most amazing energy.
It's never off, man. It saps the life out of me sometimes. Like it's just like I don't know how he does it. I feel like he takes some of my soul and then like uses it and harnesses it in like
to his advantage,
in like a way to his own advantage. He's never off. Oh, but it's just.
So it's like a rechargeable battery he has like behind him, and it just gets recharged like during the breaks, and it's just over and over again.
It's all the Starbucks.
Incredible.
I swear.
Dude, he has to have at least 4 cups of coffee before the broadcast. Like, there's just no way.
No, he told me actually he doesn't drink coffee because he's afraid of what would happen if he were to drink coffee with like the energy. Like it would just his top would just blow completely. Yeah.
No, I think Avast does the same thing. Or Avast doesn't drink coffee because I guess he's like very sensitive to coffee and caffeine or whatever. But I just imagine sometimes I imagine just like Avast, what it would be like on like 2 cold brews and just like God. That would be, we'd go into like hyperspace when it comes to memes. Like it'd just be unbelievable territory. But anyway, yeah, we're here for an amazing collegiate episode with the players coming up. It's a pleasure to have you guys on. Welcome you guys to the podcast. I'm really excited about this. But I guess I want to start talking a little bit about the collegiate scene before we get into the player draft we have and talking about this upcoming weekend. So, I mean, the collegiate scene in general in Overwatch, it's a really exciting place right now. There's a lot of teams and colleges participating. There's a lot of tournaments actually. So in case anybody is watching this and thinking, there's just this collegiate thing going on, this tournament we have going right now. But I mean, there's the NECC, there's the NACE. You guys were just in Texas doing an event as well. Like there's so many different like organizers and tournaments being put on. So I guess I want to start there with like an introduction to the collegiate Overwatch scene. So, Jesse, I know you're really involved in this. So maybe take a minute here to give like a brief kind of introduction to the collegiate scene and all the excitement that is going on. How is it organized? How many teams are participating? What's the vibe in 2024?
2024, especially this semester, was insane. I think it surpassed a lot of expectations. We had like nearly 400 teams in the collegiate playoffs during Swiss.
That's insane.
Granted, we had like 50 some FF out because I guess they were weird like that. But then it is weird to where there's so many other organizers, like you said, NECC, NACE, Esports U, CECC finals was just in Texas, paired with NECC. So it's crazy. No matter like what the skill level of a team is, there is some sort of organization out there for them to play, which is awesome. But it also gives us more and more looks at the top teams through like NECC Legends divisions and NACE's top tier. So it's been a really fun semester, and honestly, there's not been a solidified one all year. It's always been moving, and I think that's honestly been the best part.
You mean when it comes to teams, like the player strength?
There's
or do you mean
not
like
been a single
or...
best, like, oh my god, right now, like in NA OWCS, it's, Toronto Defiant, and it's kind of not been shaken that much. Collegiate's been, it's Northwood one week, and it's Winthrop the next, and it's ISU the next. It's been crazy.
Yeah. TinyShiny, can you take a minute to talk about your involvement here in the scene as well, and like kind of your thoughts about the collegiate scene?
Yeah, I'm probably the newest to it out of everybody.
Well,
here.
I would be.
Well, you too.
Excuse me, I would be
That's
the
true.
newest.
That's true.
The Swedish guy without an education, I would be the newest. But yes.
Yeah, I just started university this year, so I got a first look at what collegiate esports can look like, especially with Overwatch. I have casted collegiate Overwatch quite a bit. I just did like the NACE finals, for example. I've worked with NECC and other organizers around there. And I think the kind of the beauty of it is, especially now, you have this mix of players that are either trying to get to that professional level or people that can come back to get their education for an esports scholarship, for example. We're seeing that a lot nowadays, especially when you look at some of our top schools. A lot of players are taking advantage of kind of the opportunities that have been out there in collegiate esports, as well as other players coming up from high school as this platform for continuous development. And I think that it's a great supplement to kind of what the professional Overwatch scene is kind of evolving into.
Yeah. So I kind of want to open up the floor here, and we can just chat about the collegiate scene a little bit, and what we think about the future and stuff about the collegiate scene. But I'll ask you first here, Kenobi, and then we can kind of like kick things off here. So like, is collegiate like the way forward for Overwatch esports and esports in general? Because I feel like I've been part of the Overwatch scene since like 2016 and even 2018, and I've met a lot of people who have actually been involved in the collegiate scene, everything from organizing tournaments and trying to get this thing going, but it never really felt like we arrived. Like, it was something that people looked at other college sports and they were like, well, what would college sports look like when it comes to esports? What would it look like when it comes to Overwatch? Like, how can we get people involved? How can we get universities involved and colleges involved and try to be a part of this? It feels like, like you mentioned, 400 teams. It feels like we finally arrived where like, this is a big thing and esports is a legitimate thing. On college campuses and everything like that. Do you feel like we've arrived in 2024, and do you feel like it's just going to grow from here?
I think we're definitely getting close, especially because I think this year, kind of like what Jesse was talking about, where it's like, it's so open this year. Like, a lot of the time in collegiate Overwatch in the past, it's been like, there's like 3 schools that do well, and it's like, your Maryvilles, your Northwoods, and then there's like 2 or 3 other teams that are maybe kind of like there, but not like the best. This current crop, I think, of collegiate teams that we have, with Overwatch League transitioning to OWCS and a lot of the like players in NA in specifics coming over to play in collegiate, I think that it's kind of invigorated the scene pretty heavily, and there's like a lot of talent there that's like bringing in their own fan bases to these colleges. And I think the biggest thing that kind of is a indicator of where collegiate's going, at least in NA. I think in EU it's interesting because I know the culture in EU for like collegiate's not the same, but in NA, that Luminosity Gaming Maryville thing is a big deal, especially if they're going to be competing in OWCS, like as a college. Having that connection between like a pro esports organization and a college, I think seeing that, I think, is really good for the scene, because if there are other teams that can do that, you can compete in OWCS, keep your name in licensing as like a Maryville or like a Northwood or wherever you want like that. I think it's also good for orgs that collegiate is going to be so big, because then you can kind of sponsor this team where a lot of the work is like being done for you in terms of like the college, where it's like there are a lot of good people in director positions. I think currently in collegiate there are some iffy actors still, but I think once we get more of those like people who are more ingrained in the esports scene in collegiate, I think the sky's the limit for something like this. So I think going forward, this is probably the most I've been excited about collegiate esports and collegiate Overwatch in particular since like back when it was like TESPA. Like, that's when it was like really popping off, and like now we've got all these other tournaments and stuff, all these lands. I think it's in a really good position.
Yeah. Twinsalty, you got any thoughts on this? What's the vibe like? I know you just graduated, so congratulations, by the way. But what was the vibe like this past semester with everything going on?
It's definitely been weird for me, because like I was the president of ASU Esports as well the last 2 years, so I saw it as, okay, I'm watching over these tournaments to cast, and then I'm also looking like, hey, how is ASU gonna do? And it's been, like Kenobi said, I think we're getting to that point to where if we have more of those cooperations, like, with Maryville and Luminosity, I think that's even better, because that was the problem for a long time, was like, hey, if Maryville want to compete in, I think back then it was Contenders, they had to play under Saints, because they couldn't play under Maryville because of, certain rules at the university. But if teams can do this and they partner with a pro org doesn't have to deal with a lot of the team building and a lot of the structures already there. I think that's like a perfect building block just for more and more teams to get involved. So I think it's a great start. I hope it just keeps going.
What about you, TinyShiny?
I think like even outside of a competition standpoint, like my university, for example, has a esports degree path that you can go into.
I've seen the Instagram ads about this one.
Yeah, so like, I mean, there's mixed reactions about it all over, and it's genuinely what you can make out of it. But I think Shenandoah does an excellent job of kind of advertising what there is in esports just outside of the competition, but also builds up the competition at the same time. And there's a lot of schools that are following this sort of path, whether it's in like a certificate program, maybe a minor, working directly with teams on production, on coaching, managing, like all of these different parts of collegiate esports is building up around this main idea of the competition, which has been really incredible to watch. And I do agree with a lot of what Jesse and Kenobi have been talking about. Like, we're kind of catering collegiate esports to almost be a pipeline and a place for development for a lot of these pro players.
Yeah, totally. How do people like get involved with this? Because obviously there's a lot to it. There's a lot of different aspects. I think one thing that I think gets misrepresented sometimes is when people talk like, oh, esports degree or like whatever. But it's actually a pretty great way for if you want to learn about broadcast, if you want to learn about organizing, management, all these different aspects, right? So how do you kind of get involved in these things? Obviously, I'm Swedish. I've never gone to college, so I have no idea in this regard. But like, how do you kind of get involved, and what are some of the like the benefits of getting involved, and maybe like why people should get involved?
I think a lot for Shenandoah specifically, I can speak more to. It's a lot of like, okay, what are you interested in? How can the university make these events happen? The school itself like takes opportunities to run esports events on their own. Other collegiate events, invitationals, like we did a Rocket League event in Myrtle Beach over in the spring. So like we had casters, we had TOs, we had teams, we had everybody kind of come down there for things like that. The school itself kind of helps scout about players. You have tryouts, student coaches, but it's a lot of the staff kind of catering to what the students want to work on. And I think that's kind of the best part about it is there's a lot of understanding like, all right, we're a little bit unsure of the exact direction that the esports industry is going to take. So how can we use what the students want to learn along with what the industry currently looks like to kind of develop this sort of curriculum and all of these experiential learning opportunities to therefore prepare them to kind of build up on this industry once they move on to a career.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. Yeah, go ahead. It was
maybe a little different at ASU for me, just because when I joined, like Molly was saying, Shenandoah is more of like a program at this point. Like they have everything set up. It's incredible what they have. And then when I got to ASU, it's like, oh, we're just a club. We're kind of just, if you want to try out, this is when tryouts are. It'll be a community manager that you hope knows what the game is about. And then you kind of go from there. So it is this weird dichotomy of there is still clubs out there that are kind of getting there. And then there's also more and more of these varsity programs that I think we're going to see way more of soon, because I think colleges are finally understanding the value of like, hey, if we put a little money towards this, it doesn't have to be full ride scholarships. It can be just a few grand a year or whatever you feel is feasible. But it's going to bring a lot more retention in. And I think that's what really ASU started to hit on this last year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. At UConn, it was like, I think we had a club when I was at UConn and when we did it. But I think kind of what TinyShiny was talking about, where it's like, if you have these colleges that are very, focused and like driven, if you have someone at the top in like your director of like esports or something like that, I think she's right that there's a lot of ability to kind of do anything you want. Like I think Boise, one of the things that they do is I think they have like their own arena or something.
Yeah, they do.
Their own
their production's arena. Insane.
And their production is like really good. Like if you're just like, if you're just wanting to get into video, or if you're wanting to get into like casting, right? Just having that ability to go in there and just like go through the process is like huge, right? Because those are skills that you can transfer into like doing other things, right? And you like learn kind of the workflow and stuff like that. I think for talent, especially if you're lucky enough to be in a position where you can find one of those great directors and like have a really good program, I think for talent, just being able to go through those motions, because a lot of us kind of work remotely, but Johnny would know this, and I think also Jesse and TinyShiny would, working at a LAN is completely different, right? It's just a whole nother beast completely. So like having that ability to understand what it's like to work in person, very, very good in terms of just for talent to be able to understand what that's like instead of just, casting in your bedroom as much.
Yeah. So Jesse, you were the president of ASU Esports. When you were the president, I guess it's past tense, right? Because you graduated, so it's past tense.
Yeah, it's very weird to say was now. Yeah, okay. But technically.
Yeah. But obviously, a very influential role in that regard. So I kind of want to just dig into that a little bit before we get to the player draft as well. Just like, what were some of the challenges you faced? What are some ways people can help? And from your position, just like how could people help grow this program and help and help build this entire scene?
I think if you're at any club program right now at a college, just try and find a group of people that all want to keep it growing, run community events, show your directors like, hey, it's not just the players. Because I think that's where a lot of colleges get stuck up. It's like, oh, there's the teams, but there's also, like Molly was saying, it's like, hey, there's production you can do. You can run events, you can run activations. There's so many other things you can do. And that was the thing we started to really hit this year at ASU. Was like, hey, yes, we have our teams. Like ASU finished top 12, and I was, still obviously very happy that they did as well as they did. But, it's more than that at this point. There is so many other student staff positions you can learn experience from. Like, I got involved with casting because of the Pac-12 teams. Oh, well, RIP the Pac-12 of what it used to be for traditional athletics. But all those teams during COVID were like, hey, let's do a little tournament. Why not? And they had student broadcasters in. So you never know where those opportunities are really going to start up. But I think if you're at a club right now, just try and find ways to get involved and show the higher ups like, hey, we can do so much. And if you put in money, then it, exponentially can grow.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time. I'm very much looking forward to see how it continues to grow and how esports gain traction on campuses and people grow these different scenes. Not only Overwatch, but other areas as well. And while I'm not as tuned in to like League of Legends, I've seen sometimes from the outside that they get things going, and there's other games of course as well. So it's a very exciting time, and I'm very much looking forward to see how it continues to grow from here. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the Overwatch Collegiate Championship Series, which is concluding this upcoming weekend. We got 8 teams remaining in the playoffs, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of a player draft. But before that, as I've already told you guys before we went live, we like to pay our respects on this episode, and we're going to pay our respects to Manscaped for supporting the show, supporting Plat Chat. So, you can call them what you want. Knee knockers, golden nuggets, thigh slappers, but our friends at Manscaped refer to them as the boys. Not every man has children, but every man is responsible for the 2 boys below the waist. When your little guys have more hair than they need, trust Manscaped for all your grooming needs. Boys need love too, so join the 10 million men worldwide to trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com and use code PLATCHAT for 20% off, plus free shipping. You heard it here first. The boys are back in town. And so with that, let's go ahead and get into the player draft. So I decided to spin this up. So we got about 8 teams here remaining. Wait, did I just... Yeah, we got 8 teams remaining in the playoffs. Sorry, I'm feeling a bit off this morning. It was a late night, okay? I was up late last night. I was playing Magic the Gathering. These guys are trying to get me on board, and I'm trying to spin up all these decks. So I didn't get any sleep.
Are you playing Commander?
Yeah, we're playing Commander format. Yeah,
they got you, didn't they?
They got me. They got me, dude. I'm hooked. I'm hooked. But didn't get the best amount of sleep. So sorry, I'm a little bit off this episode. But anyway, so we're going to do a player draft, and we're going to talk a little about the teams and the players, of course, involved this weekend. So we can pick. I was gonna suggest. I'll poll you guys right now. I thought of a rule that maybe you should only be able to pick 1 player per team. So, like, you can't just stack up and just pick, I'm going to pick all of Maryville. Like that, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. So you kind of have to pick, okay, 1 from each. Okay. Sounds good here. But Solomon was very productive, of course, and spin up this little thing for us so we can see who's been picked already. And then we're going to, I don't know, we'll do like a YouTube comment poll because they're very reasonable people down there. And they'll be able to choose who has the best roster in the end. But I figured this would be a fun thing to do. So we've already discussed this going into the episode. TinyShiny, because you are the leftmost, you get the first pick in the draft here. And you can pick damage, you can pick tank, you can pick support. And then we'll do a snake draft. So Twinsalty will get double the picks when we eventually get to you. And then we'll just go back and forth that way. Any questions before we get into it? No, I already asked it before we went live. So, TinyShiny, and go ahead with the first pick in the 2024 Collegiate Overwatch Draft.
We're cooking here. I'm making sure that nobody takes my guy, because I'm gonna just put this out here now. I'm not biased, but I am a massive ISU enthusiast. I am shocked that they lost their match to Maryville. That was not their best gameplay, and I have faith that they can return to the grand finals. Largely because of Lethal. Lethal is the guy that just, if you need someone to show up, he's there. He doesn't fail. He doesn't lose. Even if ISU, the team, is looking like a disaster, he's still mostly doing his job. He's rarely getting diffed out, and I genuinely believe he's like the best Cassidy that we're going to have here in NA Collegiate.
I sense some disappointment here.
Too.
Yeah.
That was a high pick for that was a high pick.
That's why I did it first. I knew it.
That was definitely a high pick for me.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
I would say me and Tiny were talking about the other night during the CECC finals in Texas. He was legit like single-handedly winning fights.
Literally.
It was ridiculous. Time after time after time. The reason why they won fights over Northwood was lethal. So, yeah, I'm not shocked that he's gone so early. I'm a little sad, but...
I think the other thing about Lethal is, like, this... Because, like, the last time ISU was, like, really relevant was back when Lethal was on the team. When, like, Lethal... It was, like, the Sojourn meta. They were, like, Lethal's Sojourn in particular is probably one of the best... Like, I remember in Contenders, after every game, Lethal would type show the stats in chat because they were just absurd. Like, he's going, like, 55-5. Like, he's just, like... completely taking over lobbies, especially with that ISU team. It was really shocking to me that they did end up losing to Maryville, but it is ISU, and the lower bracket, I think, is where TinyShiny is absolutely right. They'll probably just run it back because of the fact that they love the losers bracket. Whenever they win things, it's from losers bracket a lot of the time. So Lethal, a very good first pick, someone who I think he was actually at the top of my DPS board, so
he was at the top
cross that one out.
Yeah,
figure out someone else here.
Not really.
Yeah,
if it's a first pick.
I've been hyping up Lethal as well, both on the OWCS broadcast, but also on Plat Chat, because I think it was instrumental in their success in the OWCS too. So that makes sense as a first pick here, and everyone's jealous. So if that is the biggest hint that like it was a good pick, is that everyone else just like it's better you pick Lethal first. All right, Kenobi, you're up next.
All right, so this person I think is I would like a lot of versatility in my team. And I think this person is the best main support and also potentially the best support in NA, not named RuPaul, but has that versatility. I'm going to pick Vega as my first pick. Vega, I think, in terms of just like the ability to play everything, like Vega kind of came into the league or came into like prevalence as like this like main support player, and then kind of just shows that he's absolutely godlike on like any other flex support, right? So I think the thing about Vega to me that makes him so strong is his ability to cover literally every single support. I don't think I could put him on a support and I'd be like, Vega's probably not going to perform that well. Vega can play literally anything. I think last year he was, unfortunately, I think especially in like Contenders and stuff and in Collegiate, one of the most prevalent parts of like kind of this rise in NA supports that we've been seeing lately on the Toronto Defiant, very, very good as well. So Vega's going to be my first pick just because of that versatility he brings to the table, and he can play pretty much anything.
Yeah, I mean that's why he was picked for Toronto Defiant as well, right? It's just if you want just a 5-man roster, Vega slots in perfectly there. You're able to play so many different metas, so it's a great pick. And also, I mean, I don't know if this is shade, but like if we're going by this ruling, we have to pick one player from each team. I feel like picking Vega from Northwood is like a great pick to have in your bag as well. Yeah. So just incredibly very smart strategic pick from Kenobi here. Big brain. All right, so I guess it falls onto me here, and while I wrote down all the players, I don't really have a big board. I'm going more on instinct here. And less on predetermined. I'm going a lot on vibes here.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm actually going to go for. I like versatility of my team here as well here, but I'm gonna go with Dante because I like a veteran.
Really?
I like a veteran player. I'm just gonna go there. I'm just gonna pick my boy. So it's the safest pick imaginable.
He was the top of my tank big board. So
yeah, exactly. So it's the safest pick. So I hope you guys don't mind. I'm just gonna go ahead and select Dante, and I'm sorted when it comes to the tank role. So there we go.
I'm weirdly okay with that.
I'm too.
I'm weirdly okay with that.
No,
Okay.
I think Dante is super underrated. Especially as a tank. I think Dante. I think what I would pick about if I would pick Dante first and why he was first for me is that I think he's incredibly smart. I think in terms of versatility as well, Johnny's right. There's not anything really that I would put Dante on and be like, I mean, maybe there's probably some things. Maybe like even like Diva though, I'd pretty fine with it. Like even Winston, I think he can cover it relatively well. He's probably one of the smartest players just in general that's in true. OWCS or in Collegiate. Great leader for the team. I mean, for like a first pick, if you want like someone who's got that experience, Johnny's right. I think Dante is a
Thank you, Kenobi. Thank you. I
don't think that's a bad pick. He was still like near the top of my tank board, but he was not first for me.
He was my first at the top of my big board.
So. Okay. Well, you're up. You got 2 picks here.
I get 2.
So
I cannot believe he's still here. I'll take RuPaul at number 4.
Yeah, that is
it's
understandable.
an Overwatch League World Champion. Like I can't not take him. Granted, my issue with the entire Winthrop roster as a whole, and this may be a hot take, do they care enough about this, or is this just another tournament for them? Dude, like, in real talk, most of them are former Overwatch League. A lot of them are in current, like, top OWCS teams. When I was talking with you about it, Tiny, at Texas, they were, like, emotionless during the majority of their games. And only got mad when Northwood started beating them in semis. That is my issue with them. But RuPaul was still screaming at the top of his lungs in Texas throughout the entire thing. Like, he cares. And he's, again, still arguably like the best flex support we have in North America right now. So I have to take him.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, literally one of the best players in the world. So good at so many different heroes. So I don't fault that pick at all. Yeah, that is just a great pick here. So I guess I just like the comfort of Dante here. So that's what
fair.
There's some other good flex supports out there. I'm kind of coping right here, but I don't need RuPaul on my team. I have other options. So I'm good. But you get a second pick.
Yeah, I'll take Rocket from Northwood
Gosh,
as
darn
my first DPS.
Yeah,
I had to take him. His Tracer right now is an unbelievable form, and no matter where this meta lands, Tracer's still gonna have a very important piece in it. So I think Rocket is maybe the best on Northwood. I granted, I think Northwood, wherever you look, like, it's a stacked player. I don't think you can really point out and say that is their number 1 player distinctively, because that's the charm of Northwood. They're just stacked across the board. But his Tracer as of late has been ridiculous. So yeah, I will thankfully take Rocket off your hands.
Damn it. That puts me in a bit of a tricky situation here, where I need to go look at.
Oh, I couldn't have picked him anyways because we were.
Yeah, you could.
You can't even be sad about this.
I knew Tiny wanted him bad. I knew Tiny was gonna pick him if he got all the way down.
Man.
Okay. I don't know if this is a bit of a sag for my next pick here then, because again I kind of screwed myself by picking Dante from Maryville, because there's so many great guys on Maryville that I now can't pick. So yeah, I'm already failing strategically here to go ahead and with smart picks. Let's do this. I'm gonna go a bit unconventional here. I'll go with Tree. I'll pick.
God,
I like that. I do like that pick.
Oh
right.
no!
I mean, one of the greatest talents coming up in North America right now. Obviously, just turned age. I think it was his birthday, like last week.
Yeah,
so
he turned 17 last week.
Yeah. Now eligible for OWCS stage 3, stage 4. So that's going to be a great time. And I think both him and Collegiate are on the Students of the Game roster as well. I don't know if that's going to last into stage 3 and stage 4, but if so, I mean, those are obviously huge pickups. I'm also, a bit. I need to, check up on Collegiate and be like, hey, what are your motivations? Are you like back, or like what's going on here? Because it feels like Collegiate's been a bit in and out of the scene. But 2 great pickups for Students of the Game. Obviously, they can't play at Dallas because I think there's like a roster lock between during stage 2 and the Dallas main event, so they can't actually play at Dallas. But going into stage 3 and 4 and the rest of the year, obviously stacked. 2 great pickups. But yeah, Tree, one of the most talented players in North America right now, and everyone's really excited. Should be on one of these top teams. So I feel pretty good about that pick. I feel really well rounded. I'm feeling good about picking Tree.
Okay. That was my pick. So
have you printed like Google Sheets here, Kenobi? What's going on?
I have my draft.
No way!
Oh, don't show it!
I get a screenshot of that real quick.
So I got my sheet up to my left. So I'm trying to keep track. It don't look too bad yet.
So Tree and Rocket were both on. I mean, I couldn't pick Rocket anyways, but that was Tree was a big hit to my next pick. All right, okay, so I think what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and pick up my hit scan here. I'm going to take Vision from Maryville University.
Solid.
For
Good
my
pick.
hit scan role. Vision, I think, to me, has always had this ability to just, like, Infinity Gauntlet, just snap his fingers and then maps are over, especially on Hanzo. Hanzo's not that good recently, but I think a lot of the reason as to why Maryville University was able to upset in that last series was because of Vision particularly on like any of these hit scan roles. On the Ashe, Cassidy, even like if Widowmaker ends up being prevalent at any point, Vision is definitely adept at playing it. And the other thing about Vision is Vision can pick up heroes like instantly. I remember back when ISU won Contenders, they said that like Vision was like, yeah, I'll play Reaper during like the Reaper Sojourn meta, and he picked it up in like 3 days and became like the best Reaper in NA. So Vision can probably also flex over to some of those other picks given a little bit of time. Reaper's obviously like haha very easy hero. I love the double Reaper, I love the double shotgun move, but like Vision still has that ability to me to pick up probably something else if I were to need him to flex over to anything different. But his hit scan is one of the best, probably up there with Lethal in terms of like ability to carry a match.
Yeah, I love that pick. It's a great pick.
I really like that pick.
Yeah, I always enjoy watching Vision. So, I mean, I've been in like one Luminosity screen, but just watching Vision play, it's a lot of fun. Really talented on so many different hit scans. I kind of wish for like an Ashe meta because I think Vision's Ashe is like incredible to watch.
Very good.
That's great.
So hopefully one day we get back to Ashe and not Sojourn being picked every single game, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, back-to-back picks here for TinyShiny.
Oh boy. Well, you got one of them, so that's unfortunate. But I still have my tank on the board, thankfully. And I have a couple of reasons for picking this person, but I think the main one is just his in-depth, not necessarily understanding, but a relatively well-rounded player in terms of the heroes that he's been able to pick up and kind of play. He just got signed to TSM. I mean, come on, he's pretty dang good at his video game. I'm taking Riker. Give me that. He's just been popping off in any match. I remember specifically watching the very first stage of OWCS, and his Orisa was far and above pretty much anybody, in my opinion, who went against him. The javelins that he skewered across, like, I don't know. It blows my mind how you get that geometry down, but Riker is able to do it in such a short amount of time, and especially now with how tank is being played. It's rare that you're going to have more than one tank player. You need somebody to cover every single position, and he's someone that can do that very well on pretty much any hero I've seen him on.
Man, I was really hoping he was going to slide all the way down.
I was hoping he was
going to slide all the way down.
I was like, maybe Riker's going to slip down in the draft.
Maybe.
I don't even pick him down.
Also a great pick as a trash talk. I feel like that whole
it's trash talk.
The TSM timeless kind of saga that went on there as well. I, for one, really enjoyed when TSM was like the second best team in North America because Riker just like dealt it on Twitter like it's something we haven't seen in quite a while. So I don't know if that's the vibe you're going for here, TinyShiny, but I for one really enjoyed the trash talk. So good pick.
That's half of it. I mean, Jesse, I think you were with me in Dallas where Riker was playing, and he got up after they won and was just chanting TSM when he was playing the Fisher. Like, I don't know. Like, he's just got another level of confidence, which, hey, ego, fine. If you're going to be at a high level of competition, you better be able to back it up with skill. And you know what? You can do it. The moment you do, I'll come at you, but for now, you're fine. Tank-wise, I'm very glad I got that one because I was also looking in the direction of
That's a great one.
That's a great pick.
I'm very happy with that pick. I feel like I have to get one of each role now just to kind of feel safe, and I have to join the Maryville train and take our guy Juby. I feel like he's been a little bit underrated lately. With how he's been playing. His synergy, especially with Dante, has been one of my favorite things to watch, whether it's coordinating with displacement on a lot of these boops, working with the speed on Orisa. I feel like him and Dante work together so well that it's very rare that I'm going to be looking at Joby and be like, what in the world are you thinking? As I would with some other Lucio players. He's very rare to get caught out, but can also step up in more of this damaging role should he need it. His more tempered aggression on Lucio is one of my favorites to go ahead and watch and observe, and is a real asset to Maryville.
It's a solid pick. It's a solid pick indeed. I'm looking at my board here, and like there are a couple of main supports out there, and you know it's looking a bit thin though. It's looking a bit thin. I feel like with some roles here,
we're taking all of them now.
If you want the maximum punch to your team, there are a few roles here that are starting to get pretty slim here. So. But it's a good pick. It's a good pick. All right. What do you got, Kenobi?
Okay.
How's the board looking like?
I think But I have Vega, and I have Vision. So I don't think I'm gonna go for my tank just yet. I think I can hold off on that one a little bit. I still believe in this player because I've been watching them for a very long time, and even though they're playing DPS right now, I think that they're a fantastic.
You did not do this.
I will be taking Ultraviolet.
No!
I will be taking Ultraviolet here
Kenobi!
as my flex
Are you
support.
serious?
Yes, 100%. I think I still believe. Been watching Ultraviolet. I think he is cracked out of his mind still on flex support, and I'm going to be taking Ultraviolet. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if he's not. He can, and he will.
Wait, so is Ultraviolet your damage player or your support player in this exercise?
No, he's my flex support player. He's not my damage player.
Well, all right.
I'll give it to you.
Unless the rule is that I have to. If I'm picking it, if I'm picking it for DPS, then I'm not.
There are no rules. This is like a tavern brawl.
Yeah, okay. Then Ultraviolet's definitely 100% my flex support player. It's not even a
God.
100%.
Oh boy.
It's cheese.
Okay.
Well,
I'm not feeling too bad now, but
okay.
Yikes.
So I am eyeing someone, but given that Jesse has already picked someone from Northwood University, I can hold off on that pick because you can't pick.
Look at you strategizing.
Look at you.
I'm online. I'm back in form here. So, oh god damn it! I just realized I cannot pick Liar. Oh well. Well. Oh no! All right, we're not online.
Oh, I can't pick him either.
How about this? I'm going to pick for my second damage pick. I'm going to go with W. Maimon.
Ooh.
Okay.
Lethal's duo here. Another player with lots of potential brewing here. There's a lot of talk. 2024 is going to be the year of W. Maimon. And I'm kind of on this train about a lot of up and coming players that necessarily haven't like fulfilled their potential yet and or have peaked or like playing at top of the game. As I'm saying this, I realize I have Dante on my roster, which has absolutely peaked, and is now just enjoying the labors of his work. But yeah, I like my damage line. So now I got 3 and W Maimon. I feel like that's really powerful. So I like my young guns here. And again, quite a bit of versatility going here. So I feel like I can play like literally any comp possible with the players I have so far. So yeah, I feel pretty solid with that right now.
Okay. Yeah, I just realized that Tiny just gets Liar for free at this point, which is okay. I should have thought that through maybe a little more.
What, are you gonna be running double main support?
Main support?
All right.
I don't know if you're running double
get picked. Oh god.
See, I have a plan.
Oh, okay.
That's
I don't know if this is good content, but I'm having the time of my life. This is thrilling. I'm feeling the strategic pressure on us now. Oh boy.
Oh god. Who let the kids take over?
Exactly.
Right?
But I am thankful. I thought Kenobi was going to take him this round on tank. I hope this is not what he was trying to take because then I'll feel bad. I'll take Kuffa as my tank.
Okay. All right.
I was so happy you didn't take him.
Holding.
I thought no one was gonna take him. I thought I was totally fine there. Oh
no, he was he number 1 on my board for tank? He might have been. No, he was number 2 on mine. But yeah, no, I have to take Kuffa. He's been one of the most versatile tanks this entire year. We saw him when they played Northwood legit go counterpick after counterpick after counterpick and still look fine on everything. Like he ran Ram, Winston, Malga. He looked great no matter what you threw him on. So yeah, I think it's a no-brainer for me. I'll take one of the most versatile ones out there left. I'm sorry, Kenobi.
That's an insanely good pick, though. It's a good pick. I can't be mad.
I can take the entire ISU roster.
I gambled and I lost. That happens.
Yeah, you can still pick Luca if you need a tank.
Okay. Yeah.
No, there's a few. You can't pick Cowman, I think, because you have someone from Northwood. I'm pretty sure. So you can't pick Cowman.
Oof.
That's unlucky. Yeah, you
There's
got.
a
You got
player
some
who's
thinking
not
to do.
in the tournament anymore who I want, but I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. So.
Oh boy.
If it's just the players who are left.
I mean, if we're allowed to do that, then Jesse would just pick ASU players. So.
That's true.
Yeah, I probably would have picked at least one at this point. I don't even know who I'm going to take as my next, because I've realized that main support-wise, the well is pretty dry for what I can take. Do I just wait? I'm going to wait on that. So I'm going to take King as my other DPS.
Ooh,
Really?
Good. I think it'll be a nice little pairing over there with Rocket. I think it can be maybe not the most conventional look by any stretch of the imagination, but it could definitely cook up something.
Interesting. Interesting.
Honestly, here's my thing with Kick is he's been a player that I don't feel like he's hit his peak yet. Honestly, I feel like he still can go a little bit higher. But I was talking to Vision a little bit, just kind of about Maryville as a whole. He specifically brought up King and his amazing work ethic, working with both Unter and Dante, like over this past semester. And his improvements have really shown from when he was in Overwatch League, but I don't feel like he's there just yet. Like, I don't think we've seen the best of King, which is why I'm on board with the Jesse.
Now you got me second guessing this, man.
To be honest, Jesse, if it's a Genji meta, it's Raps.
It is.
Like you have Rocket King. If it's like if we get like dive, it's Raps for you. Like you got
Kuffa Winston.
Oh, Kuffa
Winston, Rocket Tracer, King, Genji, RuPaul, literally whatever. Like it's a that.
Oh my god, that is
so far.
Yeah, I feel like Jesse is public enemy number 1 now. God damn, it's a nasty roster. Oh boy. Well then, all right. So now I need to pick my Northwood player here because otherwise, TinyShiny is gonna get away with it.
Don't do it.
So I'm picking CJ. I'm picking CJ to be my first support player on this team, and I feel pretty good about this pick. I feel like. You haven't won yet, Jesse. We got a couple picks left here.
Your team's pretty good. Your team's pretty good too.
And if it's not good now, it'll be good in 2 years when these guys are in there. So I'm building for the future. Isn't that what college campuses are supposed to do, right? So I'm picking CJ as my Northwood player here.
You know what? Yeah, that's fair. I was wondering if it was gonna fall to Tiny, but that's really
I couldn't let that happen.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't let that happen.
Fair enough. Targeted. I mean, CJ is like, I think in terms of even last year, I think during like Overwatch League, CJ was like relatively pretty strong on that Valiant team. And already I think back-to-back champion on Northwood. So I think in terms of like the flex supports that were left, that was probably the best one. I think besides like maybe Squid. I think so. I think
that's
getting this at 4 is like crazy. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I got Dante, so I couldn't go there. Couldn't go there. All right, are you going Redbirds or what's up? Illinois State.
The other person I was gonna want, Collegiate I can't pick. Rhino's not in the tournament anymore because UCI got eliminated.
Oh, was that the pick?
Rhino was going to be the one that I wanted. But instead of that, I will be taking I'll be taking Iron from Fisher College, who is the other tank on that team. I think I don't know about Iron's ability to play the main tanks, which would be like my biggest worry. But like when I remember Iron like playing back on ISU and like earlier in his career, he was really adept at like a lot of those off tanks. And I think it's also smart enough to be able to pick up the main tanks. It would just take a little bit of learning to do so. I am sacrificing quite a bit of that versatility that I probably would have gotten with like a Kuffa, Riker, or Dante. But yeah, I think Iron would be who I would want to have as my tank currently, and pray that it's an off tank meta. Pray that it's like a Dia or Zarya or something like that.
Solid pick.
Yeah. With that one.
All right, TinyShiny, you get to round out your roster first here.
My roster. This is bad because I don't know what support I'm gonna pick, so we're gonna start with DPS. Okay. This one is a bit strange because I really, really wanted to get WMAMon, but of course I couldn't do that because I had to pick lethal. I can't have the dynamic duo. Whatever. Another player that I think has really started to stand out a little bit more, or at least has a bit more potential for me, has been Tap. He is on
I'm
Rutgers.
so glad he got picked. Yes.
I think Rutgers needs to be talked about more, even if they're a bit odd, and they want to be the Chengdu Hunters of the collegiate scene. It's great to watch.
Love
and
that.
Tap is, arguably the most consistent pillar out of that roster, whether it's the Tracer. I mean, heck, the guy got 5 hammer kills in a single series. Like, come on. Like, this is he's the epitome of content. He can play the Tracer and match pretty much anybody that we've seen him go against so far. That's without scrims, without team practice on Rutgers. So the fact that he's able to have this individual level of talent and cater it to how the rest of the team plays, and I think he's just that main player that Rutgers can fall back on.
What do we think?
Yeah.
Solid pick?
Solid pick.
Yeah. Rutgers being the Chengdu of Collegiate is like such a perfect comparison. Like,
I agree, yeah.
During the match Sunday, we're like, what is going on? Like, what is happening during that game? Like, Tab had like 5 hammer kills. They were running the most whack things I've ever seen. And it worked. Like, you could tell it was just working on all cylinders. Fisher Fiends had no idea what to do. So that is honestly the nice little chaos agent that, yeah, that honestly fits perfectly over there.
Oh, 100%.
Have you figured out your support pick yet?
Well, here's the problem. I was going to pick neutral, but I realized I can't pick both tap and neutral. So that's a problem. I think for my support pick, though, I need to... Where is it?
I found my one.
You found
your
one?
I'm praying you don't take.
This ability to only pick one is
this is really, so hard.
Is really difficult.
Because I was gonna pick a Northwood support, but those both got yoinked, so I can't really. That's not really an option anymore. I can't pick Luke Nino because I already have Juby. Boy, I think I'm gonna go over to. Let's see. I can't figure this out.
You need a flex support. Oh,
I need a flex support. Because
Yeah.
here's the other thing. I'm gonna pick Soax on St. Clair. He is a main support player, but he has been having to flex over to flex support. And St. Clair, despite that being relatively close, it's not bad, okay? He's exactly where he needs to be. He had one sound barrier that got really weird. We don't talk about that. But other than that, like, there wasn't any red flags that you would see with Lucio players, and especially with how important the character can be nowadays. Like, he's filling the role perfectly fine.
I'm so
you
sad.
good?
I wanted Soax so bad. He was gonna be my snipe pick. Oh man, I like that actually. Soax was really decent against Irvine. Like Irvine, we're just like, where is Soax? Like Soax was just running around the map half the time and finding the flank kills. So no, that's a really good pick. A nice little Canadian representation too.
He's an assassin.
There you go. There you go.
Ah man, who do I even pick?
See, it is rough out here.
Have fun.
It is rough.
The ISU players are all gone, so can't take them. I think at this point, okay, I'll take Noxious from St. Clair College.
Ooh, good one.
As my last pick. I know I'm double hit scan here, so it's not great, but I have faith in that Vision could play literally anything if I give him like 3 days to be able to figure it out. He's going to be totally fine. Noxious can play that hit scan role, has a lot of experience in contenders, in the World Cup, very capable DPS player as well. So yeah, with the fact that I can't pick from any of the colleges that are left, I'll go ahead and pick Noxious and round it out. Also, French speaker, gotta represent, gotta
okay.
Gotta ride with my homie.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, you got some Canada on there. Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks that I picked W by Moan because I can't pick Skyle, who is Swedish, of course.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted.
So that stings, not being able to pick my Swedish guy right here. But as it falls to running out my squad, picking a main support player here, I feel like the solid choice is just to pick Grapes. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick Grapes from Fisher College.
Yeah.
And that will run out my squad, making things very difficult for Jesse here, because I know you need a main support player along with Paul here as well. So I'm going Grapes for my final spot here, running out my team.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. They've honestly been playing really well too as of late. Like I don't think like everybody when they look at Fisher, they look at Neb on that support line just because Neb is, always talking on social media. He's very confident, and so Grapes is there like, Neb is also one of like the funniest people I've ever met in Collegiate. But Grapes has always been like quietly super consistent, and I don't think Fisher are in the conversation without Grapes there. So yeah, it's a really
maybe I should have gone double flex support here and picked Neb, and I just
that's what I have to debate now. Do I gamble? But my team's like a dive team, and I don't have a Lucio, so it's like kind of need a Lucio. Yeah, I'll take Unread from Fisher Freaks. I think he's been pretty solid this year. Fisher Freaks haven't had. I think they'd be first to say they haven't had a perfect year. Their mentals kind of boom occasionally, which has been like the Fisher issue this year. But he is like the one player on that team that I don't think I've seen boom in a very long time. Like he's always very down to earth and very calm about it. So I'll take Unread to finish my line out.
All right, there we have it. The Collegiate Draft 2024. Let's take a minute to review the rosters here once Solomon got it all figured out.
We should have like a best of the not taken, because like to think about like Admiral didn't get taken.
Yeah,
Man is still out there.
Liar didn't get taken.
Liar not getting taken is crazy.
No,
I mean, but that's
I
also
feel like it's a side effect of this one player rule.
Yes, yeah, that's 100%
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah. So, maybe I would have done things differently if we got to do this again, but that's also part of the charm with the draft, right?
This made it more interesting, though.
Exactly.
This made it way more interesting.
1,000%. Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah. So, all right.
Strategizing
Yeah,
with
let's
chess pieces.
just take a minute. What were some of the picks that kind of were left on the board here because we couldn't pick them? Like you said, Liar, of course,
Colluge
Admiral.
didn't get picked.
Yeah.
I believe.
Haven did not get picked for Northwood, which I thought Tiny was gonna take Haven, but then it's like they already had Lethal
Cowman
as a
didn't
hit
get picked
scan.
either.
I know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really
Tread
tough.
would have
That
been an interesting tank pick too. Tread.
Tread was my second pick.
Tread heads.
Tread, yeah. Tread was my backup if I couldn't get
Did
tough
Squid
up.
get picked? I actually don't remember.
No.
Squid is also.
Squid did not
okay.
get
Oh, that's
Squid.
another one,
Squid is
yeah.
insane.
Squid is so good. Squid would have
I mean-
been if I didn't pick Vision. That would have been.
Yeah, their entire 7-man roster is like really good, but then
Yeah.
we can only pick 4 of the 7, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know.
some of them ends up being left out there. So that's pretty tough. There you
I
have it.
know. I think TinyShiny mentioned Neutral at one point as well.
Yep.
Or like, yeah, that was
Yeah.
another. Neutral is, I think, so slept on as like an insanely good flex support in like the last year. I think last year when Rutgers made like 4th in Collegiate at Homecoming, like Neutral was just, it was like Zen meta, and Neutral was just like clicking
yeah.
heads. Just
Oh, it was
completely,
ridiculous.
just absolutely
Yeah.
absurd.
Even with the Ilari this last weekend, Jesse and I were losing our minds watching this guy like literally just sitting behind the team. I'm like, what are you like? This guy was flanking and nobody batted an eye at him, and he would just kill like 2 or 3 every fight, and it was just ridiculous. Like I genuinely don't think Rutgers would have won that had he not done what Neutral does best, which is just destroy and play the DPS role. Like
Yeah,
I don't.
Neutral.
He's insane.
Yeah.
Neutral is a support player who wants to play DPS. Like,
He is.
but knows
Yes.
that like, oh, man, I
Yes.
gotta play support. Gotta be on
Oh.
these heroes. Can't just go over.
Like, hey, you have a pylon. That's support. My turn now.
All right, Solomon, do you want to do a Plat Chat guarantee here, and we can post this on social media, and we can perhaps do a bit of a poll on the social media to see who actually ended up with the best team here. Again, I kind of need to just demotivate people to vote for Jesse because Jesse has a stacked roster, so I kind of feel like
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't
please
fair.
don't vote for Jesse here, even though the roster is sick. But there you have it, a little Plat Chat guarantee right here. Certified. Whoa. But yeah, this was a really exciting exercise, and I had a lot of fun doing it. So we'll see who ends up on top here. So I do, as we get close to the tournament, of course, I do want to take a minute to talk about the teams, of course, and who's going to win the entire thing. And it's nice to talk about the players. But Jesse, there's a bit of a collegiate power rankings going on, in which you are a part of. Can you take a minute here to talk about the OWCRA and the rankings going into the tournament here in May?
Yeah, so Okra is basically just a giant group. I think it's about 20 or so of us in the community. We submit these about every other week. And I think it was created by Dividing, who's actually a caster friend of a lot of us here. And yeah, it's been incredible to have something to actually reference off of. I know my rankings have changed dramatically every single week. Like I honestly, like this says right there, 3rd update in a row, new leader. And it's been great to see. Especially Winthrop kind of move around, ISU, Northwood. Fish has always kind of been just on the outside looking into like that top 3, but no, I think that's that ranking was a decent stat sheet until CECC happened in Texas, and it just messed everything up again.
Oh, this was pre-CECC.
The pre
This was,
2
I
weeks
think it
ago
came
almost,
out
so.
the Saturday, I think. So it was
Gotcha,
before Northwood beat Winthrop.
Okay.
We
Yeah,
submitted
and
them
obviously
all
you
the Wednesday
voted a bit
prior.
before then and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it's a bit outdated in that regard, but you know, a couple of weeks old. But if you had to do this, divide it into tier list, perhaps, and as we talk about winners here of the championship, like who would you say are like the clear-cut favorites? Would you say that like the top 3, top 4 is like establish themselves as the clear favorites here, and you got teams like Fisher like looking from the outside looking in here to the top 4? How would you kind of like distribute these top teams, and who has the best chance of winning this weekend?
Oh, that's rough. I think top 4 would be my tier break.
Yeah, I think that's it's like I could see an argument for 5 because I think everyone currently in the top 4 between Fisher, Northwood, Winthrop, Maryville, I can see them probably all winning the tournament. And then ISU still in the lower side, so that kind of makes it 5 for me. Fisher would be like the one team I'd be like, are they on the outside looking in? They still have a very good roster. And it played very well this tournament as well. But like Northwood's going to be their like first test. I think that 3-0 against St. Clair is a big deal in terms of just the momentum because St. Clair was rated pretty highly, I think, going into this, and knocking them down that convincingly tells me that there's probably something to look out for with that Fisher team. But I think Jesse's right. It's probably like 4 or 5 is where I would put the break of like the teams that can win, which is way higher than like what it used to be. Because a lot of times it was just like Northwood, Maryville, and then like team 3, and then like everyone else is kind of like fighting for like the 4th spot. Like now it's super wide open.
Like there's no given day where like generally this could change every other day. Like there's just no way of telling exactly who's going to show up. Like it literally just depends on who's having the better performance on whatever match you're playing in. Like we've seen Illinois State beat every single one of these teams, but has now gone on a bit of a losing streak. So they've fallen down a little bit. You've seen the same thing with Northwood. They beat ISU 4-0. The next week they lose 3-0. Like it just goes so all over the place with a lot of these teams, which I think why this top 8 is going to be very engaging to watch.
Yeah, you mentioned St. Clair there as a bit maybe like a dark horse, and obviously they're playing against Rutgers first here. Would you say that St. Clair is like maybe the dark horse going into this tournament? I don't know how far, how much you want to stretch that term, but is that like the team that could like maybe upset some of the big 4 here, or is there another team that you're looking at like they would be the underdog story to really go far deep in this tournament?
I think it's both of them, actually. I think whoever wins that matchup between St. Clair and Rutgers is like, wins the dark horse race, right? Like, so I think those are the 2 teams that I'm like, if they're on the outside looking in, playing each other is going to be like in terms of figuring out what their power level is. Like Rutgers has already taken a map off of Northwood, which is a big deal, right? St. Clair kind of, got walloped a little bit by Fisher, moved on through that lower side against UC Irvine, which is a big win because I thought UC Irvine was actually way better than their placement going into this tournament. So I think if there were 2 teams that were going to be that kind of like try to make a Cinderella run, it's going to be the winner of whoever wins that matchup between Rutgers and St. Clair.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that will be a matchup that I hate that it's not on stream, I believe, because I would pay so much money to watch that game. But it is good that I think the winner of that could beat I don't remember who they would play in that lower quarterfinal, which loser they would play.
Be Maryville or Winthrop.
Okay.
Yeah, they probably already flipped the bracket right into the lower.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't flip again.
I think they could maybe beat Maryville if they have an answer to the Doom comp. I think there is a genuine answer there from St. Clair, because I think they will eventually beat Rutgers. I have a feeling that'll go like 3-1, 3-2.
Yeah.
So St. Clair could sneakily finish like 4th after I think a lot of people had them like around like anywhere from like 9th to 12th all year long.
I think these are both interesting teams because they miss they have weird roster situations. Like Rutgers has a flex support and a DPS player who only plays flex support. And St. Clair, you have 2 main supports. You're missing one of your DPS players, so you have to put your support player then on DPS, who's really good, but you also don't have a tracer at the same time. So it gets really funky with how these rosters are going, which I think putting these 2 together is going to be such an interesting mix of play styles. But against like a Maryville or a Winthrop, like is that where the run really is going to end, just missing some of these integral pieces.
Yeah. I think the one thing we haven't discussed as well, obviously, is the mid-season changes and how this all changes a lot of things. And I don't feel safe making a prediction on like where we're gonna go. I was like, oh, Sigma probably won't be as good. Obviously not talking about the ultimate buff that we've all seen over social media and ulting people through verticality, but more so I was like, oh, maybe like Winston and Reinhardt are a bit stronger and maybe Sigma will suffer as a result. But then people are like, wait, Sigma's actually really good, and then people are still playing Mauga, so like we really have no idea which way the patch is going to go, but it's obviously going to throw out wrench in things. One final thing on the bracket before we move on, I just want to get your take on like who do you think is going to win the event. So if you had to make a prediction for 2 teams that make the final and who is going to ultimately win that final, let's just go down the line. Who do you think will win it all, starting with you, TinyShiny?
Oh, I have to start. Oh boy. All right, well, I already gave you half of my answer earlier. I'm an ISU believer. I think they make the full run and they make it run back to the finals. They're a team that will not sit on that loss and just dwell in it like, oh, that sucks. Like, no, like they're ones that will get back up on their feet. I'm not too worried about that. Whoever's lower final matches will be interesting to watch. But that also, I kind of want to see a ISU Winthrop final. Winthrop really wants to play against ISU. They haven't really had a big chance to compete since the Swiss stage, which I believe was a 2-0 for Winthrop when that did happen last time. But kind of same thing goes there, where ISU is like, all right, we've learned from how we played against Winthrop. Winthrop are now have Ultraviolet on Tracer and are making other adjustments elsewhere. So those are the 2 things that I think can push them over, just with how stacked the 2 teams are.
All right, Kenobi, you're up next.
Yeah,
Sorry,
think...
bud.
I think I agree. I think I agree with TinyShiny that Illinois State probably makes the losers bracket run back all the way to the grand final. It's where their home is. It's where they've had the most success. I think Light is going to be a great coach to be able to kind of motivate the team to bring them there, because I think they know that they realistically shouldn't be in the losers bracket right now. They should be, towards that winner's side, and I think they're going to play really hard going forward towards that grand final. And I think from the upper bracket final, I think Winthrop is interesting in the fact that like this UV Tracer is like, it's okay, but like now we're getting towards like you're playing against some really good competition on the other side in terms of can UV handle Rocket on Tracer? Is Tracer even going to be like prevalent? Like what is the DPS line going to look up with a change? A lot of that's different. And then at that point, I'd probably just say that based on what I see from just the roster in general, I think Northwood is going to get to that final. And then I think Northwood closes it out, gets a three-peat, and wins it like in a 7-game series between ISU. I think it'll be very close, whoever gets to that final and plays against ISU, but I think it's going to be Northwood who wins.
Oh boy. Well, I'm gonna go with ISU as well. I think I'm it's a cop-out answer, but they did win the CECC, so it's the cop-out answer. They're just like, they are the team to beat, I find. But I actually think that they're going to play Maryville in the finals. So I don't know if that's a bit of an upset pick there, because they didn't have the greatest run in Texas. But, this is a team that have a lot of time together. So there you go. I mean, I see that. And as a host, and as someone who is not as informed about the collegiate scene as you guys are, I'm like, this is my team, obviously.
There's a lot of gold there.
There's a lot of gold. There's a lot of yellow.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of yellow. Nothing wrong with that. So I'm going with ISU in that regard. But I'm keeping my eyes on for Maryville here. I really don't know how Winthrop is going to perform, with their squad. Northwood is an interesting team, and but I feel like I'm going with the safe pick here. It's my cop-out host answer. So I'm sorry for that. I apologize.
That's fair enough.
Good.
Like, and the fact that the tournament that's not even on Wikipedia yet is they won NECC as well on the same day they won CECC. Yeah. Like, they won back-to-back championships on a single day.
Collegiate scene is crazy.
Yeah, Collegiate is it is a circus. I'm gonna pick ISU as well to make it to the final. Like everyone's kind of said it already. They love the lower bracket. And I was talking with Goose, who is on their staff and is a sub. He's like, that was a fluke game for us. Like, we feel like we were way better than what we showed. And we can easily make a run. And I have no reason to doubt them after the run they've been on the last month. So I will have ISU make the lower run. I'll go with Johnny and say Northwood is in the final. I think Rocket's been on a tear. And I think the fact that they get Fisher first, they get to see and watch how Winthrop and Maryville play, and then they get a day to watch that and then play the winner. I think that's a massive upside to them, because I don't think they're going to have to show as much against Fisher as Winthrop and Maryville will have to show in their game. And then I'll have ISU 4-2 over Northwood. I'll say it goes 6.
Oh, wow. That'd be a banger of a final. 6 maps? I'd love to see that.
I hope so. We don't, like, in Collegiate, at least in these, like, tournaments, we haven't had, well, actually, that's not true, now that I think about it. We've had a lot of really good finals. I was kind of contenders brained where we only had 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0 a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's also, that was also the Overwatch League thing. We only had one truly great finals with Shock and Dallas. So, anytime we can get a good finals in Overwatch, that's a treat. That's always a treat. All right. Well, as usual, for Plat Chat, before we kind of like wrap things up here, we got to do Brent's Player of the Week. If you're not familiar with this segment, we used to have Brent on the podcast, and he had a segment called Brent's Player of the Week. Well, Brent's not here anymore, but we still do Player of the Week, so in his honor. So if there's any player, or it could be a team, it could be anyone within the esports, even it could literally be about freaking astronauts. I don't care. It could be literally anything here. But generally, if there's anyone from the collegiate scene this past weekend, who's your player of the week? Who'd you pick?
Can I pick multiple people?
Yeah.
There are no rules. There are no rules.
There's no
here.
rules. Okay, then I think my players of the week are Twinsalty, TinyShiny, Nerdy Bird, and Septilence for coming in and doing a great job on their weekend during Collegiate, coming in, having their first broadcast, did a fantastic job, and I think that they're going to do great this weekend as well, so they're my players of the week.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I sense some bias here because it's talent voting for talent, but all right.
You weren't on broadcast this week, so like I would have given it to you too.
I'll be there one day this upcoming week, so maybe next week I can win it. But I did honestly expect you to go freaking Chinese Overwatch or anything else. I did not expect you to pick talent.
That answer is not as wholesome.
True.
Okay, all right. Go for wholesomeness. What do we think here? TinyShiny, Twinsalty. What do we think? Player of the week. Let's get some players involved.
Yeah. Players of the week. Players.
I'll go with the Rutgers DPS line for giving me one of the most funny games I've ever seen. I'll do Tap and Pig Boy.
Thank you.
The fact that half the time chat was like, "Is that the Pig Boy?" I'm like, "Yes." That is the one you were thinking about. And yeah, the hammer kills were abundant in this one. It was honestly, if you want a fun DPS line to watch, and I guess you can add neutral in as like a hypothetical third with how they play. It's one of the most fun teams you'll ever see. So yeah, shout out. I'll give mine to Tap and Pig Boy over there in Rutgers.
Did you say there was 5 hammer kills that series?
5.
Yeah, 5.
That's pretty crazy. I think that's unprecedented.
Psychotic.
Yeah, that's unprecedented. Crazy. I mean, there's multiple in the kill feed at the same time. That's insane. TinyShiny, do you agree?
Yeah, Jesse, it went exactly where I was thinking. That was one of the most entertaining matches that I have seen casted probably ever. It not only did it go to 5, but you had some great content plays, like you got hammer kills in there. How often do you see that? You really don't. But also you have 2 teams that really, really like wanted to win. Like you could tell that this was like them full tryharding. Like you could feel the passion from the players, from the teams, and as much as we joke about it, like Collegiate Overwatch is so much built on like this raw talent of players and this just really big want to succeed, and Rutgers, Fisher Fanes, both of them really had that in that match, and if I could highlight every single player in that match, I would, but of course, I mean, Rutgers, they won at the end of the day, and we get to see more of them.
There we go. All right, Kenobi, I promised you a small bit at the end here to talk about Chinese Overwatch. Yes. We had a thrilling announcement. I think it was this week. Once again announced
2 days ago.
Back, 2 days ago.
We are so back.
We are so back. We are so back. Your instant reaction to the team getting back together with Coach Rush, apparently.
That was the craziest part, that Rush was going to be the coach. If there was a bingo card about like the return of Chinese Overwatch, it wouldn't have been that. Like Rush being on that team is crazy to me. I think it's going to be great. I think Creed kind of staying there is also fantastic for me because I think Creed kind of gets it when it comes to Chinese Overwatch in terms of like having that old miraculous youngster like spirit with Leave on that team. And I don't think I could have asked for a better team. Like, this is the Chinese super team. I mean, this is just it right here. So I think that there's no one else I'd really rather have. Rush being there also is fantastic. I love the name once again, kind of an homage to Leave's. I think he said like a quote where he's like, "We're here to make CN Overwatch proud once again," something like that. So I am overjoyed that we're going to be seeing the return of Chinese Overwatch, because I think that anytime that like these are some, I think these are some of the best players of all time in Overwatch League, right? Just in Overwatch in general. So having them back is a really, really good thing for the scene, and I am very excited, and I'm so happy that they're returning once again.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, look, going into the Esports World Cup, and there was going to be an invite. I'm assuming this will get the invite, right?
They get the invite.
Yeah, they get the invite. I mean, you saw me in Toronto. I kind of like I declared myself a Hangzhou Spark Chinese Overwatch fan, and so I'm very much I share your excitement, and this is going to be the team that I quote unquote root for. Not a biased caster at all. On the broadcast team, because like it's so much fun to watch these guys. You know, I pretty much proclaim that Shy is probably like my favorite player.
He was mine too,
except for Kevster.
Like, I love him. Shy.
Yeah,
I think I remember casting Shy on LGD in like 2018 when I first did Contenders, and that was like a long time ago. But he's still like, if anything, he's better now, because I think it feels like Sojourn was made specifically for him. Like more so than like anyone. I think like Lip is like another person, but like it feels like that hero is just Shy's hero for the most part. He is absolutely bonkers on that. If Sojourn is still going to be meta going into that tournament, watch out, because they're going to be absolutely taking that tournament by storm.
That entire DPS line is just disgusting. Like, you have Shy, Leave, DPS. Like, what else do you really need to say about that team? And then everybody else is still ridiculous. You have Lengsa, Monk, and Gushue. Like, I'm already a fan. It was
so weird.
If they have a jersey, I'll buy it instantly.
It was so weird about Lengsa. I thought he was a complete feeder coming out of Contenders, dude. Like, he was, I was not a Lengsa like enjoyer. I was like, yeah, he's all right. He plays like BAP okay, and then he's like coming in being like one of the best Brigs I've ever seen in China. Like, and that's next to Yveltal, someone who I really like as Brig, like that. Lengsa and Monk, I think, have to me really... Monk has always been, to me, I think, the best flex support that's come out of China, going back to when they were on, like, Flag Gaming. But, like, Lengsa is really, I think, the most surprising player out of that entire team, being as good as he is, because he definitely was not this back in Contenders, or even when he was on, like, Team Chaser, I think was, like... Team Chaser was like the Hunters Academy team. Yeah. Lengsa is a 4-time Contenders champion, by the way. So
there we go.
Dang.
There we go. I did see that there was a sale on the Overwatch League website, because they're shutting down the Overwatch League merch store. And I copped some jerseys. I copped some memorabilia. Yeah, I copped a Hangzhou Spark jersey actually, because players have been raving about those like Staples jerseys. They're like really high quality or whatever. Apparently that year they made them, and so I was like, I need some merch. I need some jerseys. So there you go. It's closing on Monday. So I got some jerseys, and one of them was a Hangzhou Spark jersey, because I was like, in 5 years I'll be able to look back at this Hangzhou Spark jersey and just like. The good times that was back then. So I had to get that. There you go. Did you have a favorite team, TinyShiny, in the Overwatch League?
I was very much an Excelsior fan. Granted, I started watching Overwatch League at the tail end of Season 2. Season 3 happens. I'm like, all right, I'm here now. I'm committed. So we're sticking with it. And that was my journey within Overwatch League.
That is pretty cursed.
OG Joan Jack era.
Literally the best team in Season 1 regular season, and then top 3 regular season 2.
Yep.
And then you came in and okay.
Yeah.
I was not the reason for their downfall, I promise.
That's tough. But yeah, there's a lot of cool merch here. You know, not even the jerseys, but I like those hoodies, for example. Those hoodies are cool.
The manga hoodie.
Yeah, they're awesome. So in case anyone is watching this and wanted to get some merch on sale, then go ahead and get it this weekend before they shut down the store. All right, I think we're going to wrap up this special edition Collegiate episode. It was a pleasure having you guys on, but before we go, I just want to give you guys the opportunity to tell the audience a little bit about where they can find you and what you're up to besides Collegiate and everything you're up to. So I'm not going to give TinyShiny the first go around here. Instead, we'll just go to you, Jesse. What are you up to these days? Where can people find you? And yeah.
Well, right now I'm on the job hunt, so if anybody needs somebody for esports journalism or communication, hit me up, please. But no, I'm on Twitter at Jesse_Twinsalty. You'll see me rant about random Survivor and Overwatch and twin-related things. And then I'm going to try and stream more, twitch.tv/Twinsalty Inc., one word. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, Kenobi.
Yeah, I'm Kenobi. Collegiate's happening this weekend. Be sure to tune in. We have drops, and they're very good drops. So be sure. I believe our first broadcast is Friday at like 4 PST.
I think it's 5 PST. Molly, you should know this.
We're early, then
we should know this, but that's not my time zone.
You know, we'll figure it out. We have a couple of days.
You'll get the call sheet the day before.
Yeah.
Exactly. We'll look at it the day before. We'll be fine.
But yeah, just make sure you're there. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Get those drops. Support Collegiate Overwatch. You can find me at Kenobi Casts, talking probably about Collegiate and Chinese Overwatch, also about Gacha and Honkai Star Rail, because I'm losing all my money doing that. So yeah,
you and Danny
follow me there. Danny actually pulled when I met Danny at BlizzCon. He pulled for me a 5-star. So Danny's got the love.
Oh my god,
he knows how to get those E's.
Yeah, sometimes he'll do that thing in the green room. I don't play these games, so I have no idea what they are. But it'll just be like, oh, pull here, open this treasure or whatever it is, open this pack. And I'm just like, what? Like, are you spending money right now opening all this stuff? And yeah, it's a whole thing.
I don't know if I'm Danny's level of committed to the game, but you know.
As in committed, you mean spending money?
Monetarily committed. I don't think I'm anywhere near Danny yet.
I don't think so either. All right, TinyShiny, where can people find you, and what are you up to besides the Collegiate broadcast this weekend?
You guys can find me on Twitter at TinyShiny19. I will be streaming a little bit more on Twitch this summer, also TinyShiny19 with some Overwatch playthroughs. A lot of Calling All Heroes content on the way. Please go support Calling All Heroes. That major is starting at the end of this month, and we'll be broadcasting heading into June. Absolutely love Calling All Heroes, and looking forward to the start of that coming back up. And of course, Collegiate will be kind of simmering down for the summer. Make sure you keep an eye on the championship and a lot of this off-season trading that we're going to see going around. It's literally roster mania. Same thing happens in Collegiate, and it is so much fun to watch, and looking forward to making some content on it.
All right. Well, there you go. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here for this special edition Plat Chat Collegiate draft episode. Make sure you tune in this weekend. And it's going to be an amazing time. So thank you guys once again. And we'll see you guys next week for another episode of Plat Chat. Take care, everybody.